one has to fundamentally understand the job of the President of the United States. So first and foremost, the President of the United States is the country's #1 salesperson. The President must understand the business of America. The person must understand the global and national and local environments that we live in, and the President must understand the problems, the solutions, and what are the best directions to take during his watch. I mean, it's very general, it's very broad, but I want to contrast that. You know, the President does not need to know the details of how to build a nuclear weapon. When we're in the White House, you want to put me to sleep? Go ahead and start talking about, you know, the minute details of how to build a nuclear weapon. Now, of course, I can call in America's #1 nuclear physicist and scientist, and as the president, I could get that lecture. But you know, from a point of view of just, do I really need to know that? I don't need to know that, you know, and it really, I mean, I would be very interested, don't get me wrong. I'm probably good for about an hour, you know, and I'm going to be asking good questions, and finally I would come to the point, like, you know what, this is not helping me make the bigger decisions. So the next step is the president must surround himself with highly competent people with all of this detailed knowledge. Now, I've used nuclear weapons as kind of as a comic here, but you can apply that to automobiles. You can apply that to solar panels. You could apply that to desalination plants, food distribution, you know, healthcare, hospitals, medicine. I mean, across the board. You know, the president does not need to know the level of detail that a practicing doctor needs to know or a practicing engineer needs to know. However, the president must have that highly competent team around him. So another good example of this, when we choose the Secretary of Defense, because of the need for specialized knowledge, the Secretary of Defense is going to come from the military sector of society. My choice is going to be a Navy guy. He's going to have probably 30 years, you know, 20, 25, 30 years of service. He's going to know about defense contracting. He's going to know product knowledge, okay? So in the sense of the military, product knowledge is, of course, the entire array of weapon systems and how they function and operate. And if we get ourselves into some crisis, you know, this defense secretary, who by the way will also have experience in Washington, D.C., you know, I need to be able to turn to this person and rapid fire 10 questions or 15 questions at him, and he gives me precise answers, you know, in a 2-minute period. And the answers to those questions may very well dictate the policy of where we go in some particular momentary crisis. So I don't need to know all the details myself, but the guy who is the defense secretary, he needs to know that, and he needs to be on his toes and ready to answer that question. So that's just kind of how a president operates. So if we step back from this, the president must be a fantastic communicator. He must be in constant communication with the voters across America. This is a democracy. It's not a dictatorship. We must take the views of our fellow citizens into account with every decision that we make, whether it's big or small. So the president has got his fingers on the pulse of the American society on the one hand, and he's got his hand on the table of details with all the experts that I'm generally referring to on the other hand. So we constantly have to go back and forth. We have to find answers that fit the American situation, that better our lot in life, and that's the job of the president. So a more direct job is, how in the world will the independents win this election? What are we going to do to create this environment that I've just described? Well, we've put together a comedy campaign tour, and essentially it's a series of at least 150, if not 200, live performances across the United States. We're going to be in every state at least 3 times in 2023 and 2024. We're putting on these 2-hour shows. We're inviting everybody and anybody in those local communities to come to the Performing Arts Center, the local theaters, the local theatrical venues, and we're going to entertain them, we're going to educate them, we're going to talk about lots of the programs that we're talking about in these videos, and we're going to give members of the audience a chance to ask questions. The voters will get to know who Robert Quigley is, the voters will get to know who the Independence Party is, and we will also have a much needed conversation about these programs and about where the American folks need to go. And essentially they will see for the first time in American history that they actually are going to have a president with his ear to the ground. We are paying very close attention to what America needs and wants at this time period. In addition to that, we are going to be, like all the other campaigns, we're running a robust social media program. We're talking about Twitter, we're talking about Instagram, we're talking about Facebook, we're talking about email newsletters, we're talking about all types of digital outlets. We will keep disseminating our message every day, numerous times every day, to every place we can reach in the country up until the polls close on November 4th, 2024. In addition to that, we will engage in any number of public speaking events. They could be fundraisers at restaurants for the local folks in any community across this country. Any community can call us up. Any fundraiser can call us up. You know, any venue owner can call us up. Any local politician that wants to join with the independents can call us up. Anybody who wants to run as a House member on the Independence Party or as a Senate member of the Independence Party, they can call us up and we can chat. I mean, we're looking for entrepreneurs for those positions, so anybody who fits the bill can call us up. And we will constantly put ourselves in front of the American public for the 2-year period, and we will describe our platform, we will answer questions, we will deal with the criticisms. I'm sure we will meet any number of colorful characters along the way, but hey, I was on the Cambridge Debating Society. You know, I can talk. There's nothing that I say that I cannot back up with a mountain of evidence. And you know, I'll just on that point, I will add, the voters know one of the institutions I graduated from was the University of Cambridge. It's the world's top research institution. That institution has more Nobel Prize winners working in its ranks than any other institution on the planet. And I had the privilege, just as an example, when I was a student at Cambridge, to sit down and talk with some of the leading physicists, for example, some of the leading folks in every field, and discuss some of the issues that now have made their way into our campaign. But in a nutshell, that institution is a telephone call away. I mean, once you were a member of an institution like Cambridge, you are always a member of Cambridge. So another way to say that is they are the world's best think tank and researchers that are literally on the other end of my telephone line. I can talk to anybody about any subject, the world's best experts on everything that we could possibly imagine. They're just a couple of minutes away. And we can find answers, we can get the real data, and the real data and the real answers are what drives the programs that we want to implement in the White House.